What happens when hands begin to shape small likenesses of their own circle, only to set them aside and let the fire grow cold around them?
The question lingered at the evening gathering, while the youngest ones still waited for the evening tale.
One woman sat with her spindle turning slowly, her eyes fixed on a figure of woven straw that another had left near the threshold.
The figure bore the rough shape of a child from the neighboring household, yet no one lifted it when the wind pushed it toward the open door.
The father's axe rested against the post, its handle smooth from use, but the wood for the next day's work remained uncut beside the path. Across the following days, the pattern deepened.
In the workshop, a youth shaped another likeness from river clay, pressing it flat before leaving it on the bench where tools should have rested.
The women who once carried water together now moved in smaller groups, their voices lower when they passed the boundary stones.
The goats wandered farther into the young grain because the watch at the upper pasture had grown thin.
No one spoke of the missing hands at the harvest circle, yet the baskets filled more slowly each evening.
One morning, the eldest son walked the riverbank, where the children once played at shaping small figures from mud.
Only the clay likeness remained, half washed away by the current, its features already blurred.
He carried it back toward the settlement and set it near the storehouse, where the grain sacks waited to be mended.
The question of the idle axe returned to him as he worked alone on the fence that had begun to lean.
By the time the first frost touched the fields, the unused tools had gathered a thin film of dust.
The mother moved between the hearth and the cradle with slower steps, for fewer voices joined her when she called for help with the evening meal.
The neighboring households kept their own circles tighter, their laughter carrying less often across the common ground.
When the elders met at the council stones to speak of the coming cold, the answers came from fewer mouths, and the plans for shared watch grew shorter. Seasons turned.
The pasture grass grew coarse where rotation had once kept it strong.
Children learned fewer songs of the old plantings because the women who sang them while they worked now stayed nearer the settlement.
Trust between households thinned when one kin group could no longer count on another to share the watch at the boundary stones.
The clay figure, now cracked and forgotten near the storehouse wall, remained untouched through the rains. Years passed.
The young ones who reached working age found fewer elders able to show them the full measure of the land's demands.
Some fields lay fallow longer than memory allowed.
The hearth fires burned lower in more houses, and the sound of many tools working at once grew rare.
Kin who once stood together at harvest now met as scattered groups, each carrying what they could manage alone.
If the pattern holds, the households will stand apart, the elders will speak to empty air, the children will inherit only fragments of skill, the tools will rest unused, the land will forget the rhythm of many hands, and the lineage will grow thin across the generations.
When the words of those who came before moved something deep within, one might bring that stirring to the evening fire and let it pass from voice to voice as the damp wood dried and the settlement held its shape through shared knowing.
In this manner, the thread of understanding lengthened across seasons, each telling adding strength, so that the young learned the ways of the land, and the tools without the weight falling on fewer alone.
By adding one's own part to the circle, the search for what sustains the households remained open, marking the paths others could follow in their own time. And the effort of the elders continued unbroken, as the children grew into the labor that kept the grain stores full, and the boundaries watched.